Hello, and welcome back to your bite-sized PL with me, Kell Bell, for Community and Family Studies teachers. Today I'm going to unpack 6 hacks, 6 strategies that you can implement when you actually promote CAFS, Community and Family Studies, at your school. So it's subject selection time. It's that time of the year when you start to put on a show to promote your course, to promote your teaching, to promote your 101 that you actually do at school. So I'm going to unpack with you what you can do to tweak, change, to add what you currently do to promote community and family studies at your school. Whether you are at a senior school and you're getting your middle campus to come in, or you're potentially getting your junior students to come in and your year 10s to promote the course to them. So I'm going to unpack 6 ways that you can tweak, change, add to what you currently do. The first one is to become the go-to person at your school around community and family studies. So for me, when I first started teaching CAFS back in 2004, we had a couple of teachers who were on and off from the TAS faculty, from the HESI faculty, XP teacher doing it. And to be honest, they weren't in love with CAFS. They weren't passionate about it. They liked it. They enjoyed what they did, but they didn't own it. And so when I walked in this, one of my beautiful colleagues used to call me a whippersnapper. So I was significantly younger, probably 20 years younger than her. Ellen Lonigan, I'm looking at you. She would call me a whippersnapper. And I did. I kind of came in and I owned CAFS. I became, the CAFS go-to person at our school. It was like my baby. I absolutely loved it. I made it my own. My coordinator, Karen Tillman, absolutely gave me all, the blessing in the world to take it on. And that's what I did. I took CAFS under my wing and made it my own. So I think it needs someone from the ground up to bring CAFS to life, or a team of teachers. Because I think if you have that 1 or 2 main people at your school who the kids can go to, and you're kind of like the go-to expert CAFS person, they kind of can ask you hundreds of questions. Whether if it's kind of like the faculty, there's a couple of guys, there's a couple of girls, I'll just go to one of the PE teachers. Then the kids are like, oh, well, I kind of don't know who to go to. I don't know who to ask around CAFS. So become the go-to person at your school around community and family studies. You're the person that they come to. You're the person that fields lots of their questions. You can say to them, go and see Mrs. Bell at lunch if you have any questions about CAFS, because she's your go-to person. And we would say that, at school when I worked at Nagel All Girls Catholic School in Blacktown for 14 years, Karen would say that as a coordinator, she would have to do a spiel in front of year 10. We're given small time slot, maybe 20 minutes to half an hour to talk about our senior courses. So we had EC, PE and CAFS. We didn't have SLR at Nagel. Karen would do her spiel, and then she would say, if anyone's got any questions about CAFS, go to Mrs. Bell. If you've got any questions about PE, come to me. And so it meant that you could then become that go-to person that the kids know, like, and trust to answer their questions about that course. If there's a team of you, that's amazing. You can share the load. Especially if you're at a big school where there are multiple streams, and potentially if you're at a senior school, then you can kind of become that person. So I think that kind of builds that trust in the kids. Also for you, you kind of take ownership for that. You then create, the pamphlets, the Google slides, or whatever else you do to promote the course at your school. Okay, number 2 is harness the power of the electives in the younger years. So if you're in the TAS faculty, you can use your D&T class, you can use your food tech class, you can use your textiles class, or whatever other other classes that you teach, mandatory TAS, to actually promote your course. Same with PE. If you teach PASS, if you teach child studies especially, or if you teach junior PE, you can promote the course from within. I think that's really one of the secrets to why we went from 1 class to about 4 classes 1 year, was actually promoting the course from within the faculty. I know that particular year, I think we had like 90% of our cohort of our year 12s take CAFS. And what that meant was that most of them loved it because they had us as their junior PE teacher or their PASS teacher. And that kind of built that subject up. I think one positive that happened for me was that I had passed physical activity and sports studies or health science back in the day, and that I was a teacher for that for a number of years. I obviously then promoted CAFS from within. Then that had a huge impact on our senior numbers. So the year that we had 2 pass classes, Dave Franken and myself, Dave had 1 pass class, I had the other. We promoted both courses from within our Year 9 and 10 classes. So essentially our Year 10s. That then resulted in 2 Year 11 CAFS classes and 2 Year 11 PDHPE classes. For the first time ever at Nagel, we had 2 senior PE classes. I then took those girls into senior PE for the first time, which I loved. I didn't have CAFS that year, but I think promoting the course from within is really important. It also means that you can, you get to know the kids, they get to know you, they know your teaching style. And look, at the end of the day, many of our kids take our courses because they know the teachers that are actually teaching it. So that's another great strategy to tackle, to take on, is to actually harness the power of the electives. Use that from within your faculty to really build that course out. So what that might look like on the ground would be in your classroom, if you have a main class that you've been assigned to, or that you get to kind of put some posters up or put some student work, have that conversation with your students, like your junior students, around the work, or they might ask you, oh, Miss, what's this big, activity, or what's this big poster over here? Talk to that, have that conversation with them. In your junior PE classes or your junior TAS classes, you might see the students walk out of the classroom, like your seniors, and you might say, hang on, girls, I just need to put, or students, I just need to put my stuff away for CAFS. Then that sparks that discussion around what CAFS actually is. The kids become curious, you talk about it. When you're teaching certain content, especially for PE, you can actually say, in community and family studies in Year 11 and 12, we cover this. Or this is actually something that we might do in CAFS in Year 11 and 12. Sparking that conversation with your kids is really important. That kind of builds that excitement that they get to look forward to at the end of Year 10 to then choose their subjects. Okay, that kind of leads us into the next point. So number 3, spread the word to your junior students. Again, that's similar to what I was mentioning from the electives, but that constant conversation around what CAFS is, and the concepts that you might teach, the content, the skills that you might teach to your students in CAFS. You might then bring it back and embed it into your junior years. I think that's certainly something I did when I realised it was a bit of a strategy to help build our numbers in CAFS. But what that also does is build your faculty. So if you're the head teacher, if you're the coordinator, or maybe you're a newbie, you don't have very many senior classes, promoting these courses enables your community, your faculty to build. And that's a really great thing for your faculty. It means that you get to have more permanent staff if there's numbers there. If your faculty is building, you get to build your empire. You get to build on your faculty if you're promoting your courses, doing great teaching, obviously, connecting with the kids, but building from within means that your faculty will thrive. If you don't talk about it, guess what happens? It dies off. If you don't promote it, if you don't shine the light on it, it's going to die off. So having that light shone from within your junior classes is really important. Okay, number 4 is about embracing the visibility of your course. And that can look twofold. That can be things like excursions, incursions. That could be about getting your students involved within the school community. And what I did at Nagel, because we're a Catholic school, we often had things like winter sleep out, we had vinnies, we had a lot of fundraisers. So I would get my kids involved in the National Breast Cancer Foundation's Pink Ribbon Breakfast. My CAFS girls offered my pass at one stage, and then my CAFS girls would often host that for the school. And I would say that Mrs. Bell's CAFS class is hosting a Pink Ribbon Breakfast, and then kids would say, oh, what's CAFS? Then that you have that conversation about what that is. If you, do some volunteer work, if you involve younger students with your IRP topics, your research, if you do some observations with younger students in classes, if you work with younger kids, obviously exposes the rest of the school to your subject. It exposes the students to your subject, and increasing that visibility is really important. Visibility can also be in a practical sense by putting posters around the school. One thing I saw really clever done at the senior campus was QR codes. At one stage, no, it would have been the senior campus. It would have been at Nagel still. So QR codes about the course, about the subject. If you've got any questions, come and see whoever. So posters around the school, what it is. Now, if you're looking for some resources, I have that up my sleeve for you. Head over to learnet.com/promote CAFS. So promote CAFS, one word, and you'll be able to access some posters to use at your school, to download some pamphlets to use at your school, to print off coloured versions. So your kids, just a one-pager so they get to know what the course is about in a nutshell. I also have a whole Google slide available on YouTube for you that you can tweak and that you can also view to show your students what CAFS actually is about. So the visibility is not just visibility as in seeing around the school, but it's also that presence of CAFS at your school. If you have a designated night, it means you being present at the night, potentially you having a really great display that displays student work, that isn't just like, I remember trying to find things that represented like, whatever, CAFS or whatever. You sometimes are scratching, to find things that represent what the course is. Make it meaningful, have student work there. It just kind of builds that curiosity as well amongst your school, but also those visuals really help the kids see like what work you actually do. So some work samples, some assignments, some posters, all that sort of stuff really increases that visibility around what the course looks like. Again, if you want to grab some resources to help you with that, the learnet.com/promote CAFS is where you can go to grab those. Number 5 is busting. So one thing I did forget to mention is that I have a selection of CAFS Life t-shirts still available from the conference last year. We have about 15 shirts left. So for $27, you can grab yours, the learnet.com/resources. It's pink, aqua, and yellow, so my brand colors, but really comfy cotton t-shirts that are my go-to usually at home when I'm working away. But they're really great for a visual as well if you want to grab one of those. Number 5 is around busting some common myths around CAFS. And this does a couple of things. This dispels some common misconceptions around what CAFS is or what type of students come into the course. It also busts some of those myths that our leadership teams have around CAFS. And one of them is that CAFS scales poorly. Now, if you want to hear a whole episode that we address this, Graham Wright was on my podcast at the end of last year, and we spoke about RAP, HC results, bands, all those type of things. So if you want to head over to my podcast, a previous episode, I'll have to tell you what that one is. It unpacks some of those things that CAFS doesn't scale poorly. Our students across the state do very well. And if you want to get some really good results, CAFS can be part of that mix. So I think dispelling some of those common misconceptions around what CAFS is, and that it's the dumb cousin of PE. I often hear that, but also just breaking down those barriers for the kids. They have a real good understanding about what CAFS is. I think back in the day, before the teacher facilitated IRP, the kids would often get really scared about the IRP, but I don't think it scares them much anymore. So just dispelling some of those myths that they have is important. Okay, so let's unpack number 6, and that's getting student ambassadors on board. And what I mean by that is getting past students to come back and talk about CAFS. Current students, year 11 and year 12s, coming to the subject selection evening, coming to the subject selection day, coming with you and you talk to the kids about your courses, inviting them into your class to talk about what CAFS is really like. And what that does is it gets the kids to actually hear from their peers. They listen to their peers and they get to ask questions about what the course actually involves from someone who will give it to them real rather than a teacher who might inflate what the course is really about. So those stories about CAFS will really shine the light positively on your CAFS subject. And it might be also great to get some kids that are from, a bit of a mix. So kids who are high flyers, who might get really good results, maybe some band 6s or in the 80s, then some kids who just really like it and get into courses that might be related to CAFS might also be another great way to go. So let's unpack the 6 strategies that you can implement to help boost your CAFS numbers, to help increase the promotion of CAFS. The first one is become the go-to person in CAFS at your school, or the go-to team. Number 2 was harness the power of the elective classes, PASS, child studies, food tech, all those junior classes that we have in PE and TAS. Spread the word to your junior classes in PE, in TAS, get them promoting from within. Embrace visibility of CAFS around the school with promotion time, obviously, in the lead up to it, but also other experiences throughout the year that your CAFS students might be part of. Number 5 was busting some myths, some common CAFS myths about the course, so just dispelling some of those. And number 6 was have some student ambassadors talk about the course as well. So again, if you would love to get some resources to help you do this, to be super successful, head over to thelearnnet.com/promote CAFS. You can grab some resources there to help you boost CAFS and to increase those numbers. Now, I would love to hear from you about what you're working on inside promoting CAFS at your school, how you're going with subject selection. I would love to hear some numbers that some of you might be experiencing, because what happens when you have these beautiful, thriving CAFS classes, it's great for your faculty, it's great for your PE and your TAS numbers, it's great for the kids because they're literally learning about life. They're learning from a subject that is so rich, that has so much diversity, that supports our students no matter where they are on their journey. We get to support and bring in some really great diverse kids. So I'd love to hear how your promotion is going, but please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. If you're struggling to promote CAFS, or if your principal isn't sure about whether it's a good course for your school, or if you have questions about HSC results and scaling, please let me know, because I'd love to address those with your executive and your principal. Thanks so much for today. I hope you have a great day. Take care.